All right. Hello, 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 everybody. I'm here with Ian Riccaboni, on air talent commentator, everything Ring of Honor, to talk about a few things, a lot of things, but I do want to go over the final battle was last night. Um, can you talk a little bit about that? In fact, in my research here, I wanted to bring up, I found this guy, Art Carter. So as I go through here, I'm going to let this play in the background so people can kind of see what happened. But
Sure.
fill us in. How was last night? It looked like a crazy, insane time. How's it going?
It was a blast. It's been a roller coaster for me since our TV taping. So we actually filmed the Ring of Honor television will air 2 more episodes following Final Battle, which is a little strange because last night felt like a goodbye because it was live
Right.
and our TV's on tape. So I actually have signed off for good already. That's in the can. And that's kind of a scary thing and an emotional thing. So I got the ugly cries out. So by the time we hit the 6-man title match, which was phenomenal, they got the crowd up in the 6 women match. I had already got all the ugly cries out. I had already got the big tears and the and most of the emotion out. The 10-man tag match was awesome. World famous CB Cheeseburger. He's been in the Tokyo Dome, Arena Mexico, you name it, Madison Square Garden. He's only 30
Probably
years
just
old.
flying through these, but
yeah, I mean this was a heck of a match. Dragon Lee, Ray Oris, two of the great luchadors. That one was phenomenal. That one I couldn't keep up with, calling. And the this one was special to me. Rhett Titus, who'd been with the company since 2005, our longest contiguous member of the roster, finally won his first singles championship, which was a blast to call. I've known Rhett. He's the heart and soul of Ring of Honor. Josh Woods and Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson's from Philly. He's a big Embiid fan, but the crowd hates Brian Johnson. We've named the move Trust the Process, his finishing move. And he's got a move called the Spike Eskin as well, but Josh Woods came out on top there. And then we also had a number of, grudge matches. Shane Taylor, Kenny King, they just beat the heck out of each other. There was ladders. There's more ladders than they sell at Home Depot physically in the building. I don't know how. I don't know how.
I love going through these like recap videos too, because this channel has each individual match ranked down to a quarter star. So this one's 4 1/4 stars. I don't know how you get to that next quarter. But it is fun to see.
Yeah, this was a fight, and this was about more than championships. I mean, these two guys have known each other for forever. Roxy and Willow. Roxy's 20 years old, and if last night was the last Ring of Honor show, both Roxy and Willow are going to have amazing futures. Both tremendous young athletes. You'll see them on TV for years to come. If last night was the final Ring of Honor event, and there you see Deonna Purrazzo, who made her debut in Ring of Honor, signed to WWE, and then has become very successful in Impact Pro Wrestling. Shocking return. She's a champion in Mexico right now, and she wants to go title for title with Roxy. 8-man match. This was a lot of fun. Violence Unlimited and my good friend Rocky Romero taking on the Foundation with EC3, former Impact champion, who he won that Impact title in Bethlehem. But here's the biggest surprise of the night, in my opinion. The former Braun Strowman, Adam Scherr, former WWE champion, Wesley Blake, former WWE star, coming in to support EC3. And, it's weird because if we pause this video here,
sure,
to me, there was sort of a finality expected coming into the event. And we were told, hey, if your contract goes to the end of the year, thank you for being a part of what Ring of Honor has been. If it goes beyond that, we're going to honor it until March 31st, which is wonderful. That's great. We appreciate it. So I assumed there would be no story development or story continuation.
It's like write it out. Yeah, it's finishing would kind of tie it up as much as you can.
Yeah, but I think what's really neat about this, and this in particular, EC3 has done these wrestling matches and sort of his own federation. It's like control your narrative, he calls it. And he just comes in and he just fights people. He's fought Matt Cardona. He's fought Adam Scherr. Matt Taven, Ring of Honor star, has been a part of it. And I believe guys like Eli Isom, Dak Draper, Brian Johnson, they're going to be getting some reps and hopefully some good money doing this while we kind of wait to see how Ring of Honor shakes out. But that was a shock. He is massive. There are a few people that make me feel tiny. I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I'm 6 feet tall. When I stood next to Braun,
how tall is he?
He must have been 6'8", 6'9", and his chest is probably, man, he's got like a 60-inch chest. Like, I mean, this guy, I don't know how he fits through doors, like regulation doors. So.
Regulation doors, yeah. No, hey, I mean, if you got it, this is what everybody, as I'm going through Twitter, and we're going to bring up the feed as we talk about some other stuff. This is the one thing that everybody was really talking about all night.
Well, it's funny because as a commentator, I don't like to know the surprises, right? And there was a big surprise in this match too. But I say, hey, if there's ever a surprise, let me know if I'll know who the person is. And with each one of these, there, you'll know who it is. You'll know who it is. And here you see FTR, who
so this gets a 10 out of 10 from Art Carter.
Yeah, this was something I didn't know was coming. FTR, for those that don't know, are a big-time AEW tag team. They were NXT tag team champs, and then they were the tag team champs as well in AAA right now, which is the Mexican Federation. And the Briscoes won their 12th tag title, and then they've been jaw-jacking. They've been making videos at each other. So it's almost like we should have seen it coming, but I thought this maybe would have happened in AEW or maybe would have happened in AAA. And it's amazing to me because I was shocked. There were times where I've been in Ring of Honor where Ring of Honor and Impact were oil and water, right? We didn't get along. We tried to kind of double, each use the Young Bucks and the Hardys at the same time. Then there was a falling out. So Ring of Honor got the match. Ring of Honor got Hardys versus Young Bucks. Over the years, we've tried some collaboration. It hasn't always worked. But there was something about the women's division that kind of opened up the bridge. And we were able to kind of share talent throughout the summer, throughout the fall. And I think that kind of movement and momentum, and I credit that fully to Maria Kanellis and Bobby Cruz, the ring announcer, who make the matches for the women's division. I think that opened up some doors with first Impact and now with AEW because FTR committed to AEW, and it's such a I think we've talked about this where it's always been kind of a sore spot because AEW they don't the first 9 talent, I believe, that signed with AEW came directly from Ring of Honor. So it's always been kind of a weird kind of a scab.
Do you think because of the nature of this particular event that they'd be more open to collaboration and stuff like that?
I think so. And, the Briscoes, in my opinion, are the number 1 tag team in the world. If it's not the Briscoes, it's the Young Bucks. And FTR is if Briscoes, Young Bucks are 1A and 1B, FTR's maybe 1C. I mean, they're all in that top tier. So to me, I think the Briscoes legacy was cemented, and no matter what they go on to do, it's going to be cool to see some fresh opponents for them and to see them on cable, potentially. Mm-hmm. So I do think that was a big thing. One of the cool things that is not in this video too, Tony Khan, not only allowed FTR to show up, but he allowed Jay Lethal to show up. Jay Lethal had been the heart and soul of Ring of Honor. Most days ever as world champion, over 700 total days. Most days as the TV champ. Most days as the tag champ in Ring of Honor. He'd done it all, and it made sense for Jay to wrestle some new opponents and go to AEW. But Bandito, who was originally scheduled for this match, Bandito came down with COVID. Jay Lethal able to step in. Tony Khan gives clearance. Jonathan Gresham and Lethal have a lot of history together, former tag team partners, etc. So this was a cool kind of last minute match. Gresham wins the big one. He's the smallest Ring of Honor world champion, but it's not the size.
When you say small, what's how compared to the 6'8"?
Yeah, he's 5'4",
okay.
And yeah, but he's one of the strongest. He's methodical. Sure. He's a precision submission specialist, much in the way Brian Danielson is. So, yeah, and that was cool too. Throughout the night, Impact, Tony Khan, Impact with Scott D'Amore, Tony Khan with AEW, Billy Corgan with the NWA, and Brett Lauderdale with GCW, all sent tributes and thank you videos and things like that, which were really cool and really added something to the broadcast.
So. And thanks again because I brought that up. I just want to say thanks to Art Carter's Wrestling Library. Being able to use his video there was helpful to go through. And this is just a Twitter feed. I'm just bringing up the final battle Twitter feed. We don't have to talk about any one of these individually, but take us through this. Like, how did we get to this point? I know it's, probably very bittersweet in a lot of ways and probably just not sweet at all. It's like you want to continue on. So how did we get to this point?
It's interesting. Ring of Honor throughout the pandemic did the right thing time after time after time. We were the first one to go with full PCR testing with overnight results and delivery. Ring of Honor paid extra for that. I think the estimate at the first one we did was something close to a quarter of a million to $500,000 just to do that. Because at that time, PCR testing that you weren't able to do as rapid. So if you wanted to get it expedited, you needed to pay the big bucks and you needed to pay to cut in front of the line. So we were doing these tapings, these bubble tapings, where we needed to know if folks were negative. We would do a pre-test 5 days beforehand. We do a test when we got to the bubble, and then we do a test when before we would compete or call the matches. So Ring of Honor took care of us. And Ring of Honor, there was a period where we didn't run events for maybe 4 months or 5 months during the pandemic as well. And so they paid us. They cut no one. They paid people who were scheduled to wrestle, whose matches were canceled. They just did the right thing time after time after time after time. And, it was admirable. And I don't know if money was particularly the reason that we're going on hiatus or if we'll come back. I do know that costs a lot, especially when we're running in Maryland. We ran a whole bunch of bubble tapings and TV tapings in Maryland, where the State Athletic Commission, for good reason, said, "Hey, no fans, no fans on indoor events," and so we couldn't get that revenue back. We couldn't get not only the ticket revenue, but if you go to the event, you buy a T-shirt, you buy a DVD, you buy a koozie, you buy something. So all that kind of revenue went out the gate, and Ring of Honor has always been built on the experience, on the live event. And that's something that GCW is doing really well right now, is capitalizing on people wanting to see wrestling live, enjoy it live, whether that's in person or broadcast. Ring of Honor, we still, our television tapings were still empty arena through the end of this year. And so it's a tricky balance when your competitors, and I'm not saying they were doing the wrong thing, because I know that in particular, AEW has robust testing for COVID. I know there's protocol for WWE. I know Impact has testing as well. But, there's a balance you have to strike. I'm glad we aired on the side of safety, especially, we have a 2-year-old daughter at home here. And that's, that's important to me. I'm vaccinated, but I don't want to potentially, bring it home to her, so.
Of course.
Yeah. And so I think it was a little bit finance. What's interesting, over the years, Ring of Honor, our COO, Joe Koff, has been very public in that, we're a syndicated wrestling company. Sadly, we're not on in the Lehigh Valley, although I did talk to Ryan Kelly of Service Electric about that. So we can come back to that later. We're
going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're syndicated, and because we're not on at the same time every day on the same channel, it made it tough, right? AEW comes along. They have this amazing social presence. They have, stars people know. They have great young talent. They recruited well from that next crop. So, that made it tougher for us to get a foothold because they're trending every week. They're doing, they're, top of the wrestling world every week. We're a syndicated program. We get 500,000 viewers, 500,000 to 750,000 viewers a week. But syndicated ratings are much different than cable. And if you don't have that time and place, if I can't, I can't tell my mom, hey, it's going to be on an X time on your channel. It's tough. It's tough.
A little bit more difficult. And especially now where there's so many options of what you can watch and where you can watch it.
And that's why before the pandemic, when we were running live events, we could at least always promote the live event on Honor Club. We could say, hey, this Saturday, Honor Club, 8 p.m. And that made the TV kind of weave, it was a better destination, when we had more live Honor Club events. And we were running 45, 50 a year at one point. So
so I saw some things where they said, this is the final battle, like the final battle, but there's still a little bit of a door open possibly for something down the line.
Yeah. It's here's what I've been told. And
you even said, I don't know if this is the time to bring it up, but I did see in a tweet you talked about, pitching Ring of Honor to Allentown, or is that okay?
Sure. So for me, I was told, hey, This is it. You're signed. My contract's up on April 1st, so I get to get paid out, which is wonderful, and it's extra money, and that's terrific. And the money's not the most important part, but it makes things a little easier.
Sure. Well, of course, yes.
So, but for me, here's what we were told going into the broadcast, that this could be it. Don't just tell the truth. Just say, we don't know. We think it might be. And if we do come back, it's going to be different. And it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. There was even a couple different color scheme differences at the end of the broadcast. We ran like a little teaser. It said coming April 2022. So, that might be different, but
it's not like in years, like, I don't know, before a pandemic came around, you could kind of bank on every year being,
you kind of refresh your graphics packages, right? Refresh and
you don't know anymore as much, especially in your industry, what's gonna happen.
Yeah, live events are tough, and we started to get creative during the pandemic. So one of the things that we considered, and we called, and the door wasn't slammed shut. I called Mike Luciano, Lucci, over at the Iron Pigs.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Mike, you're a wrestling fan. We need, we're thinking about coming back. And this is right in the beginning of the pandemic. What would it, could you put us in touch with how we might run Coca-Cola Park? And we had ideas how to run it with fans, how to run it without fans. The general consensus was, hey, can we try it without fans?
Have they done anything ever there, like wrestling wise? I mean, I know they had concerts.
Yeah, Chikara did like a wrestling night there. So Bryce Remsburg, who's a referee for AEW now, he was part of that. I think Chuck Taylor might have wrestled there as well, and I think Orange Cassidy as well, who's from the Lehigh Valley, from Phillipsburg. So, yeah, that, and there's the graphic right there. Yeah. So it's different.
I don't quite know.
Yeah,
but for all intents and purposes, in terms of people who have their daily lives, in terms of yourself, and I'm sure the people involved in the day-to-day operations, and of course the wrestlers, for you, for all intents and purposes, it is over. You filmed your last,
right? I got to say goodbye before, which is weird. You don't normally know when it's it or when it's close to being it. So if you think of ECW ended in Little Rock, Arkansas on January 13th, 2001. No one knew that was it. USWA, they didn't know it was it. World Class, AWA, one day they were just gone, and that was kind of the end of that. With that, I was hoping to get it to Allentown before that. So not only did we pitch the Iron Pigs, we had great meetings. We had meetings with Kurt Landis, the general manager, with Mike Luciano there, but also we started talking to Ag Hall, and there was
for people who aren't familiar, that was an epicenter of wrestling for a very long time. And I don't know if they still do stuff there, but I mean, that was it. And especially in the Lehigh Valley area and even beyond, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So for those that don't know, Ag Hall from 1978 to middle of 1984 was the place WWF recorded television. And so that's where the debut and the return of Hulk Hogan, where Hulk Hogan became a megastar. That's where most of the Piper's Pits that you see were from there. When Jimmy Snuka gets cracked with the coconut, they actually filmed it twice. They filmed one in Hamburg and one in Allentown. But two times. The one you normally see is the one from
that's your so many childhood memories in the brain, and it was filmed there.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Bob Backlund, Greg Valentine, Don Morocco, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter was like the king of Ag Hall, but they're all everything there from Championship Wrestling from the WWF was filmed there from 78 to 84. So for me, as a crazy wrestling nerd, that would have been the coolest thing in the world. And Ag Hall is, comparative to other buildings, inexpensive. It is a building that has history. It is inexpensive, though. It's gigantic. It's shockingly large. And it has a high enough ceiling to get lighting rigs and to get screens in, which is cool. But it's relatively inexpensive. So I started pitching once, because we did kind of go back on the road this year a little bit. We had fans in Baltimore. We had fans in Philly. And I said, why not Allentown? WWE sells, 4,000, 5,000 tickets when they come here to the PPL Center.
And like you said, people are craving this right now.
Yeah.
So you would imagine that there would be a pretty high demand.
Yeah, and I think what they couldn't tell me as we started the conversations, because I did the research, I found the contact, I found out who ran the building, all that. I gave it to Ring of Honor. I was on some email chains, I was on a call, and it didn't materialize. And I don't think it was the cost of the building or the logistics or with the screens and the ring and the this and that fit. I think they knew something like the hiatus was coming, and I think that's why it wasn't pursued. Now, I've talked to Kerry Silkin, who originally owned Ring of Honor, and I've talked to the LVAC, who do a lot of wrestling, and this is something that we are collectively interested in having.
Still, I mean, this is definitely still something that's on the table. You just have those contingencies where maybe you just don't have enough information yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Gary Juster, who is our buildings guy, he's our events guy. He ran WCW live events from 89 to 2001. And then, we got him with us in Ring of Honor in 2011. He's got a number of contacts in Allentown. He ran an NWA event in 1986 in Ag Hall. So he's run the building before. And, if we get restarted,
it's been a while, but he's he's been in there. Been a minute.
Yeah. But he's a good dude, and he's open for anything. He's essentially told me if we can get the equipment in and we make money, then it's worthwhile trying. So
I wouldn't be floored if you saw some sort of renaissance in a way of people just not being able to attend some of these events for so long, or getting nostalgic for other ones, that when they're able to do it en masse again, you find some of these things are beyond well attended and like hot tickets.
Well, that's the interesting thing with AEW, right? AEW is just on fire with ticket sales. They're climbing up and almost catching WWE in the demographic, right? That rating demographic, 18 to 49, and overall viewers, the gap is shrinking too. And what's interesting to me is AEW tickets just fly, right? They fly. Even Ring of Honor tickets. I mean, we had a great night. We had about 1,500 people, which is a really good night for Ring of Honor. Other than Madison Square Garden, other than when we ran the Hammerstein Ballroom, which fits 1,900. 1,500 is great. That's a great house.
Sure.
For something like us. But AEW is dwarfing that. AEW, did 15,000, 18,000. WWE struggling to do 4,000 paid or 5,000 paid, and there is that appetite. Concerts are selling out, Broadway's selling out, and you're right. There's that,
or even that smaller type. I don't know what you would call it, like a wrestling company, the smaller company, like they might be more attractive than, I guess when the layperson thinks wrestling, they think WWE, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, maybe they're more looking for, hey, if I can go down the block and see a show, rather than having to go to these huge arenas, I'd do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's what LVAC has done really well here in the Lehigh Valley. They're getting 200 people at the Sokols up by Lehigh University, and they're engaged and they're fun, and it's just a good time. And I like them because they make you have the vaccine, they make you wear a mask. So the risk of I'm still a little spooked, but I pop into those events when I can, and they're a lot of fun. So. Yeah,
I mean, I was at the YMCA today, and you're kind of just looking around, making sure, but it's tough. It is. It's just frustrating because you're thinking about it all the time. So
yeah, but I feel like we're getting closer. I feel each day, hopefully we can, we have almost all the tools. Once we get the antiviral medication approved and tested and all that fun stuff, it'll just about be, I think we'll be out of the woods. And I think people will start to want to go to that. And I think that's what's so there's a lot of things that are disappointing about sort of the hiatus, but I think that's the most disappointing, because knowing the attendance last night, kind of knowing that we trended number 3 worldwide, the only thing we couldn't beat was UFC and the Heisman Trophy. We got to number 3.
And they're pretty established.
Yeah, and Amanda Nunes was fighting last night for UFC, so it wasn't just like a bunch of tomato cans. It was like their main, one of their main female fighters. So that's what's frustrating, because it was maybe the best event we ever did last night. It's definitely the most fun.
That's got to be like, I mean, you have to be so proud of everybody you're working with, and then to go, okay, probably won't see you later, at least not for a while, and probably not in the same
Yeah.
context, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it was a roller coaster all night. But it was nice. I took as many pictures as I could. I said goodbye to everybody just in case. But I do have other things coming up, which
Yeah. Okay. We
yeah,
kept everybody, here we go.
no,
We're 25 minutes in. We've been sitting here talking for a while. So yeah, with this whole thing, we were chatting on Twitter, like, let's do this. There are a lot of people who are interested in what. Number one, they're fans of you. They
Aw.
follow you. There are a couple of tweets in here as I was even going through. People were saying, I think we can even bring him in here in real time. This is one. Say from Ace of the Multiverse. Ian, is a fellow Lehigh Valley resident, I can say with all sincerity that you have done us proud. No matter where you go, having our rich wrestling history continue through you is an honor. And I think that really says it all when it comes to Lehigh Valley fans and the place that you have in their heart. And they're rooting for you and seeing, looking forward to what you're doing. So
That means the world, and I'll tell you why. I went to Salisbury High School. When I went to NYU for college, and I liked Allentown. I liked it. I didn't know if I loved it. Lived in New York for 4 years. I got burnt out from New York City. Went to Philly for a year to do a grad degree. I didn't get burnt out, but I was kind of like, you know what, I need something different. And I moved back, and I came back with a family, and it was the best thing I ever did. So, it's exciting to me when I see Dana Roebuck on the signs, when I see Larry Holmes on the sign. Got my Larry Holmes sweatshirt on here.
And Dan Roebuck's he's in the new Monsters movie with Rob Zombie's directing.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited that he's leaning into it. He's leaning back. He kind of had the same journey. He's coming back, and he's being more involved. And I saw him on, the billboard for the flu shot, and that's kind of cool. And I don't know that I'll ever reach those kind of levels. I had my chances to go to WWE. I had my chances to go to AEW, or at least, talk.
It's still early, man. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I know. But
you're younger than me. I'm just getting started. I got,
It's weird though, because it's almost like there were certain points, there were certain forks in the road where I had to decide,
sure.
Do I do Ring of Honor and my day job career, which is wonderful, very blessed with that, or do I just kind of throw it all out the window and take my chance on a different path? And I'm really happy with the path I took, because everything kind of worked out for the best. But I do have a couple things coming up. I mentioned Lehigh earlier. I'm actually starting an MBA in January.
Okay, that's great.
So
awesome.
that's kind of the first swerve. The second swerve, I mentioned Service Electric earlier. I'm starting a history of pro wrestling television show with Ryan Kelly, who's the general manager, with Chris Freed, local comedian.
Okay, I know Chris. Yeah,
he's going to help write and produce the show as well.
So you're looking at the history of all wrestling, and I'm sure Allentown's going to have a good chunk of that.
Yes,
in there.
it's mostly Allentown.
It's all Allentown.
Although, like I said, EC3 won the Impact title in Bethlehem, and there's some fun things there. Sure. So, so that's on track, and I'm.
When does that come? I mean, before I'm trying to prolong the. So what do you like? Is that going to be something to look for in the first quarter of the new year, or?
Yeah, we have a lot of the episodes outlined.
Right,
it's
cool.
just a matter of getting the interview subjects to. We want to make it as much of an in studio as we can. Leverage the Service Electric studios. Mike Mittman's going to be helping out as well. He was the timekeeper at those tapings that we talked about.
Really?
Yeah. So if you look,
that's crazy.
If you look at the timekeeper station, Mike Mittman is there for any of the championship wrestling episodes. So, he's lived and breathed it. We're going to pull clips from his old show that was on the 2 on Friday nights, In the Ring with Mike Mittman. And we're going to pull clips. As we were talking, they dug out clips of him and Sergeant Slaughter, him and Roddy Piper.
I didn't know that.
Him and Iron Sheik.
I was just talking about him the other day. I didn't know that he did.
That's
great. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, so this is stuff that's hasn't been seen in years and years and years and years and years. So this is cool for me because I'm a Lehigh Valley nerd. I'm a wrestling nerd. So they're just throwing stuff at me. Hey, we found this. Hey, we found this. Can we do an episode about that? So I'm super excited about that. I'm pretty sure I'll be hosting it or co-hosting it with Mike. I know he's going to be a big part of it because it's crazy. He had a similar idea, and we both came to Ryan Kelly within maybe 2 weeks of each other
That's
separately.
crazy.
I don't know Mike from, I know of Mike, but I don't really know him. And so the fact that
Well, it
we
makes
both
sense if like you're like, hey, I both want to do it. You're coming from different perspectives. I don't want
Mhm.
to say Mike's maybe more the seasoned veteran, and
Sure.
then you have some new. I think it works out perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, so super excited about that, and then another thing, I'm working with the Iron Pigs on something special, on a special tribute night on June 15th. Now, I can't tell you what the tribute is, but it's the
Okay.
25th anniversary of something cool.
All
Um,
right.
and if I told you any more, you'd be able to figure it out real easy. And I don't want to say I have an NDA, but I can't tell anybody what it is yet
Close
because
enough that yeah. All right. We have enough time to try to figure it out. But
yeah, so that's gonna be super fun. It's gonna be Wednesday night, and then
and
the
you have the
big
big
one,
one then.
yeah, the
Okay.
big one.
Go
I will be
ahead.
starting with New Japan Pro Wrestling on January the 15th. I'll be headed to Seattle, Washington, and I've interpreted this as a tryout. I'm calling the main card. I'm calling the what will air on New Japan Strong. But to me, it's kind of a unique experience. I've worked with New Japan. They've been Ring of Honor's partners for years and years and years. The whole time I was there at Ring of Honor, but this isn't ROH. This is the Lion Mark. This is I'm going to somebody else's house and I'm doing something new. So even though I've been invited, even though I've been told that there may be more. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm going to do my best. I'm taking this as a tryout. I've watched 41 out of the 69 currently existing New Japan Strong episodes. I've rewatched them so far. Once I found out, I intend to get to 69 through January 14th before I get on the plane to Seattle. And by then, I think there'll be 74 total. So I intend to be through all 74. But I'm
And
super excited.
are they? How are they with Ring of Honor? Is it like you said? You got to go out to
Yeah.
Seattle. So does it film out there mostly? Do they come out to the East Coast? What's their
Sure.
whole
Yeah,
sort of thing?
the New Japan dojo in America. New Japan's expanding their presence in America. New Japan's the biggest in Japan, arguably the number 2 in the world. Just
Okay.
sheer size wise, wrestling quality of wrestling wise, I'd put them number 1. But just size wise, probably a hair under WWE. Uh, they're they have a dojo in LA, so a lot of their operations are West Coast based, and it's something that they're frequently on the West Coast, although they were in Philadelphia in October. So
Okay.
they have kind of come to the East Coast as time permits. They'll be in Tampa in February. So that's another kind of East Coast town. But I'm tremendously looking forward to it. They're pretty much
Yeah.
stationed on the West Coast, and it's a heck of an opportunity. And Kevin Kelly, the guy who you may know him from WWE or Ring of Honor or New Japan, uh, he was one of the first people to reach out. So the first person to reach out after the ROH news was our executive producer, Delirious, who he wears the mask, the
Mhm.
makeup, the tassels and stuff. I don't think he was wearing it when he called me, and
Maybe.
yeah, we don't know for sure. Um, but we had a nice heart to heart, and he said, "Hey, we'll see how this rides out." And he didn't know if he's going to be here in April if there's a restart, and I didn't know if I was going to be in April. So we just had a great talk. And then the second person was Kevin Kelly, and Kevin called and said, "Hey, I don't know what you're feeling. I can't put myself. I can't even imagine what you're feeling right now, but." He intends to be in Japan as the pandemic permits to call much of the New Japan schedule,
Mhm.
there in person in 2022. So that would take him out of the running for the Strong tapings because he also did and New Japan Strong is a U.S. based extension of New Japan that has some of the best wrestlers from America, but also Tomohiro Ishii was on the card last night that New Japan aired, and they do bring over some of the great Japanese talent as well. So that's a 1 hour program, airs every Saturday live on the New Japan World app, newjapanworld.com. And I'm just super excited because there's a lot of Ring of Honor stars that have cross over. They've been a partner organization. We ran Madison Square Garden with them in
Okay.
2019. So, they've been friendly with Ring of Honor. What's neat in this crazy wrestling world right now I mentioned Deonna Purrazzo was with Impact, and she showed up last night. FTR from AEW, they showed up last night. New Japan's kind of like international waters, because that feeling happens kind of every card with New Japan, where there is the possibility of seeing or calling a match from a guy from AEW that I've never called before, or from Impact who I've never called before. And that's super exciting for me, because it's super fun to have to research somebody's, backstory, history, their moveset, to meet somebody new and to help tell that story for them.
And is it, to you, I mean, I would imagine the wrestling community has been hit, like many other entertainment type communities have been. So I would imagine behind the scenes, you're all rallying for each other, no matter what might be going on, in front or on the cameras. I'm sure you guys are pulling for each other, and it can't be fun for some of these wrestlers to be like, I'm not sure where I'm going next after this.
Right. And that's the strange part when I see, and I love wrestling fans. I am one. But wrestling fans tend to take sides. And
that's the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you watch. I don't want to be like, I like both of them. I don't care who wins.
Right. Well,
or you're torn because you like both of them, and yeah, you either way.
Yeah, but with companies, right? If you have some fans that, hey, I watch as much as I can. I like WWE, I like AEW, I like Ring of Honor, I like Impact. Then you have fans that only watch Impact or only watch
I get what you're saying, right.
And you see, I'm way too online. I gotta I'm on Discord, I'm on Reddit, I'm a hopeless vanity searcher. It's bad. It's a horrible habit. I think
it's a little bit of everybody, so don't feel so bad.
I wish I couldn't do it, but I have this compulsion to do so. But you see the comments of, oh, hey, I hope this person doesn't go there, or I hope this person only does there. And it's a little frustrating, because, like you said, behind the scenes, if somebody leaves Ring of Honor to go somewhere else, good for them, because that means they're either getting a better spot or more money,
right. And it's not, and I'm not saying for every professional sport, but it's not like you're talking about maybe the NFL, where if they go play for another team, it doesn't really matter. They're set no matter what. In this environment, it might be a little bit different, and the number amounts we're talking about are a little bit different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's I shared a sobering thought last night, and it was one of the, I cleared it with our executive producer before I said it on the air. I said, hey, Delirious, the reality is this is an audition, right? I mean, there are guys whose last Ring of Honor match is tonight. And they, either they do know or they don't know that they're coming back in April. Either they know, or or somebody knows that they are or are not coming back in April. So on the air, we played it straight. We said, hey, this is about the championship right now. It's also about impressing whoever's watching from Impact, from New Japan.
Put on the best show possible.
Yeah, and really just sell yourself and your character and what you bring to the table. And as I don't like to break the fourth wall, but last night was a situation where we kind of had to,
And I feel like you'd leave the fans hanging a little bit if they weren't like got a little bit of something, like if this is really going away and you're not quite sure what's going to happen. Talk to me a little bit. I've been hanging on. So
right. Yeah. And we wanted to be fair. We wanted to be honest as we know. We think we're coming back. And that's the nice thing about the New Japan thing, is I likely can fit both together. And, in the political waters, Ring of Honor and New Japan have always been good. So if Ring of Honor does come back, the schedule should fit nicely with New Japan.
And like you said, who knows? You could be the reason that wrestling comes back to Ag Hall.
Wow.
And, people are coming. I'm just saying, this time it might have just happened because of an email. But I mean, that would be fantastic. I know that they have events, and I know that the local wrestling is fantastic as well. But to have, TV performances there, I think people would love to have some of that, and to come out and see it would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, why not New Japan? I mean,
why not? Why not?
Anybody. The building's big enough. It's a little weird. It's a little old, but it's cheap.
Isn't that part of the fun?
It's historic.
Well, you see, like you were talking about, like wrestling at the Sokol, and for people who don't know, that's a bar with a bowling alley, a private club, really. But that's part of the fun, I think, of some of the local stuff is where you're watching it and who you're watching it with is just as important as what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're seeing with shows like that, right? You're seeing a mix of like Alex Shelley was at the last one. Alex Shelley's been on TV for the greater part of the last 20 years almost, and he is a known commodity. If you're a wrestling fan, you know what to expect. There's also wrestlers having their third match. There's also wrestlers.
Yeah.
So you have this great variety of folks trying to break in, and then you have guys that can help sell tickets. And it's this really cool mix and environment, like you said, of with Ring of Honor, you can expect a certain level. With AEW, you can expect a certain level. With local shows, it's cool because you might get that level in a couple of matches, but you might get to see somebody who maybe has their first and only match, or
you're going to see your buddy who's
yeah. That's the best. That's the best kind.
So, hey, I just want to say thank you so much for picking us in this format to let people know. I know a lot of people are interested in it, and it's not lost on me like how many fans that you have. So we appreciate it very much, and we're fans of you. So we're looking forward to whatever's coming on next. Like that's how I feel with I mean, when 2020 ended, we're kind of like, what is going on? And not that we know so much more now that 2021 is ending, but it does feel like there are some new beginnings now where we can kind of start really setting foundations to grow out of. The past 2 years, it's been tough, and it's not going to be easy right away, but it's good to feel like hear about new starts and fresh beginnings and things like that.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to 2022. It's a lot. I hope it's not too much, but it's
great. And even with the Service Electric stuff, I'll make fun of Ryan again. Like we had our show, and pandemic shut it down, so you got to bring me in for a guest appearance sometime. But like what they're honestly, what they're doing there, and I love that you're going to be doing more local programming because now's the time to do it. People are interested in this stuff. You have the capability to get it out to as many people as possible, and we're looking forward to any sort of local stuff that Service Electric's putting out. So
awesome. Yeah, it's always been important to me. This multicolored poster right here is from Allentown. I have this program over here is from Allentown, from Ag Hall. I got on my wall. So it's I'm wearing an Iron Pigs hat. I'm like a walking advertisement for the Lehigh Valley.
My Iron Pigs stuffed animals. But yeah, you got to love it, right? You got to support. So
yeah.
Ian, we support you. Thanks again for letting us know. Thanks again for coming on after last night.
Absolutely.
And we're looking forward to new things. We're looking forward to hearing more stuff. And so come back on when you go and try out New Japan. We want to hear all about it. And stick on after we end the live broadcast. But we'll chat soon. And thank you to everybody who watched. And again, thank you, Ian Riccaboni, heading to New Japan. Service Electric stuff starting next year. Iron Pigs super secret on June 15th, correct? We'll find out more soon. So lots of stuff coming down the pike. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, George.
All right.